So, if I had to describe this movie, I would say,
It's a trap!
you're welcome. So today I went to see Trap by M. Night Shyamalan, the newest M. Night Shyamalan film, the newest M. Night Shyamalan experience, maybe the first M. Night Shyamalan experience. So I was a little apprehensive going into this movie. I had heard a couple things about it before I went to see it. I usually don't read reviews before I go to the theater to see a movie for the first time, but in this case I broke that rule. I heard a couple people talk about it, and I looked at the Rotten Tomatoes score, and it wasn't looking good for this film. So I was a little nervous. The trailers had me a little conflicted as well. The concept sounded interesting, but I didn't know if I was going to like this kind of movie. It just seemed like the type of movie that I wouldn't quite vibe with. It didn't really seem like my kind of thing. But I am a big M. Night Shyamalan fan, so I was willing to give it a try. I think there's a couple things you need to know about this movie going into it that will make your experience watching it in the theater a lot more enjoyable. So the couple things that I had heard about this movie, aside from seeing the trailers, was that this is basically a kind of like an infomercial for his daughter, Salika Night Shyamalan, and her music career. So his daughter apparently is an aspiring R&B artist, I guess, maybe would be the genre. And this movie heavily showcases her talents of songwriting, performing. And so this movie, in part, or in large part, serves as a bit of an infomercial for her. Now, you may think that might not be good to know before you go into this, but I actually appreciated knowing that going into this because it kind of shifted my frame of reference for this movie. Knowing that, I was expecting that, and I was expecting that to be really cringy or abysmal, and it really didn't work as poorly as I thought it was going to. It actually worked quite well with the movie. If you look at this movie as an infomercial for Salika Shyamalan's music career, it's a pretty boss infomercial. It's a pretty boss showcase of her talent, because it's like it's that, and then it's also a thriller mystery movie by M. Night Shyamalan. So if you're looking at it in that light, it's actually pretty cool. It's also kind of sweet that he's trying to help his daughter's careers out. Earlier this year we had the movie The Watchers by his other daughter Ishana Shyamalan, and he was a producer on that movie, so he I would assume in part bankrolled that movie. And then this movie, he featured his daughter in her musical career. Say what you will, but that's kind of sweet. I don't know. Is that the best strategy for his career? Maybe not, but he's helping his daughters out, and that's kind of cool. So all that to say, I did appreciate having that in mind when I saw this movie, that it heavily featured his daughter's music, and it was kind of a showcase for her, because it framed the movie, I think, in a way that made me appreciate that. It didn't take me by surprise, and it didn't leave me feeling like, what the heck is this? Why is, like, what is going on with the music in this movie? But it kind of prepared me for that, and it made me appreciate that a little more. This is a movie kind of unlike anything I've ever seen because of that. It was marketed, like I made reference to in the beginning, it was marketed as an M. Night Shyamalan experience, and I wasn't quite sure what that meant until I saw it. It is very much so kind of like a concert and a movie rolled into one. You get a lot of music, good music, I will say. I enjoyed the music. And you get a thriller mystery story interwoven into this concert. And it's interwoven pretty well. I was afraid that the music would kind of be distracting, or it would be strangely implemented, but it was actually well implemented for what it is. It melded with the story. Obviously, it has to do with the story. It melded with the story relatively well. And it wasn't distracting. It was indeed an experience. I don't know that I've ever seen a movie like this. And I appreciated it because of that. It kept my interest. It was entertaining. It was intriguing. It was a decent enough movie that, was able to hold me in suspense. And it was decent enough music that I was fine with it. The melding of the two is fine. I think you just have to go into the movie knowing that it is a showcase for his daughter's music as well as a movie. And they meld okay. And if you understand that when you're going into the movie, it's kind of a cool experience. I don't know. I didn't hate it. Now, are there some plot holes? Are there some moments that you're just kind of like, what? Yes, I would say so. You have to have kind of a suspension of disbelief in this movie for the premise to work, but the trailer gives you the premise. And so I believe it was Dan Murrell who said, was it Dan Murrell? I can't remember now. It might have been Dan Murrell, it might have been somebody else, but I heard someone say, no, I'm sorry, it was Chris Stuckman. It was Chris Stuckman who said, you're basically presented with the premise in the trailers. And so if you go to see this movie, you're kind of already agreeing to that premise. You know, whether you think it's stupid or not, that's up to you. But there is an amount of, you just need to roll with it. You need to accept that this is what it is. This probably isn't how things would happen in reality, but we'll just suspend disbelief for the moment and be entertained. The concept of law enforcement signing off on like a sting operation, basically, using a public concert as a trap for a serial killer is, I think, pretty unrealistic. I don't think they would put the public at risk like that. That's a big liability if something were to go terribly wrong. I could be mistaken about that. Maybe that kind of thing happens and I'm just not aware of it. But the likelihood of law enforcement setting that up is pretty slim. There are some moments in the movie where he's pretty crafty and slippery and gets away and evades the law enforcement in ways that I'm like, I don't think that would really work. Like, that's pretty convenient that you were able to pull that off. But again, if you just kind of roll with it, it's one of those movies that just accept the premise, watch it for what it is, and it's really not that bad of an experience. It's kind of enjoyable. Like I said, I did not have high expectations for this movie. And is it a great movie? No. Is it a decent movie? Was it entertaining? Yeah. Like, I wasn't mad about it. I didn't feel like I had wasted an hour and 45 minutes of my life. I was pleased that I went to see it. I was entertained. It's a movie. I don't know what to say. It's fine. It's not his best. It's not his worst. I would say a really standout thing about the movie is Josh Hartnett's performance. I really enjoyed his performance. I thought he was very convincing. I thought he was very... his character was very off-kilter in the respect that you kind of want to like him, especially in the beginning. And then as the movie progresses, you really start to realize, okay, he's kind of unhinged and nuts. So I think he portrayed that character really well. The character of Cooper, I think he knocked it out of the park. I think it was really good. Salika M. Night Shyamalan's daughter is actually a decently big part of the movie, aside from her music, obviously. She's actually like a character in the movie that has some scenes and lines and stuff. You can tell she's not a seasoned actor, but she did fine. It was fine. Ariel Donahue did fine as Cooper's daughter. I liked her performance. Allison Pill as Cooper's wife, I thought did fine. I would say the one performance that I did not like, and it's not like she was in a ton of the movie, but like the parts that she was in, Haley Mills playing Dr. Grant, this FBI profiler. I don't know. I just felt like her lines were very stiff. It could just be a function of she was given not much to work with, so, it wasn't her fault. But I just didn't really enjoy her presence in the movie when she showed up. It was just kind of strange. I wish they would have cast that a bit differently, maybe. There was a couple cameos by musical artist. Kid Cudi was in it. I'm pretty sure Russ was in it. I'm pretty sure that was him. I could be wrong, but yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, it was just it's an interesting mix of like a concert movie and a serial killer thriller. It's weird, but it's cool and it's fun. I would recommend seeing it in theaters. I think it's a better experience in theaters, probably, just because you get the big atmosphere of like what it would be like to be in the concert. It makes it a little bit more immersive, I would say. I would give it probably a 15 out of 24. That seems decent. I'm not mad I spent my Sunday afternoon watching it. So go watch it if you want to. It's a Shyamalan movie. What can I say?